Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters and brothers. Raheem here. Welcome. Let's slay some demons. March 11th, 2021. Brothers and sisters, the countdown to Armageddon. In this presentation, I want to give you the timeline, the angel timeline, starting from the point where the witnesses to the Armageddon began, 1948. So we're going to take it there all the way to the war that's about to break out. That's going to ignite Armageddon. There's a war that will ignite Armageddon. And a lot of the powers, so to be, Gog and Magog, a lot of their people are starting to understand this. They're getting nervous. But they're saying a war in the Middle East will spark Armageddon, which it will. But they can't stop it. Everything is in place. As we see, the angel paints a picture. And that picture's been framed. And we, exactly as the angel said it would be, that picture's framed right now. What is that picture? Iran, America is going to war. We see the tension between America and Iran has never been greater than it is right now. Is that a coincidence? False Israel will be the instigators of that war. Now false Israel is threatening Iran. They say don't care what America does, they're going to make a move. That's war. You tell somebody you're going to attack them no matter what. You know, they'll be a fool not to prepare or go on the offensive. It talks about confusion in America. When as you see greater confusion than you see right now. No one alive has seen greater confusion in America than they see right now. They're lacking to the so-called Civil War. America is totally divided in every respect. Everybody's against everyone. And then they have a senile, confused, old man running the show. That tells you everything you need to know right there. Because now he's senile, he has point to prove. So what does all that mean? What does all that mean? Then we have the aggressive China, become more aggressive every day. That gets back to Daniel, where it says the goat, which represents China and India, because they're going to unite, coming against the ram, which is America and Britain, with full force, with full anger, with total anger. You see, China's getting more angry every day and more aggressive. Never seen this before. In fact, during Elijah Muhammad's time, China was a basket case. America had nothing to fear from China. They didn't want to mess with China because every time they get in conflict with China, they lost. See, most of you don't understand that. The reason why they lost in Korea, because China came across the border. The reason why they lost in Vietnam, because Chinese came across the border. It wasn't the Vietnamese that stopped them. It was Chinese support when they came across the border, because when they was fighting up north, they was fighting the Chinese. When they went to Korea, the Chinese came across the border and pushed them back. So, and these were China before it became a nuclear power. So every time they had a confrontation with China, they lost. So now you have a fully mechanized, fully militarized, fully full nuclear power, right? China. So they already planned for war against China. And now they said in the next 3 weeks, I think it's next 2 or 3 weeks, they're going to have a cyber war with Russia. That's an act of war right there. Russia's not going to retaliate? What does that mean? You never see anything like this. The picture's framed exactly like Angel said, like I've been telling you for years. I've been saying this for years. You can go back and look. Saying this for years. Now the picture's framed. Now it's time for the whole world to view it. That's why they call it Shia, the witnesses. See? Because now the whole world is the witness. See, an angel, right, is called also is for a witness to all the nations. See, the angel will be preaching all the world. That's just Arabic for gospel. Preaching all the world, not the Quran. And then the word end will come. It's been preached. What do you mean all the world? We never had any social media like this before where you can preach all over the world. Anybody can do it. The picture's framed. Now you got the demons going crazy in America, the Christian blacks going crazy in America. And now they brace it for this trial. The first demon plague was inspired or ignited by the George Floyd situation last year. And so there'd be a second demon plague. See? Or locust. First locust plague, and this should be another one. And they basically this is be worse, must be far worse than that. See? And they're going to attack. It tells you that in chapter 12. It says the dragon became angry with the woman and went to make war with her seed. Make war. All the nations are against us. When China comes across the goat and Daniel comes across, then they're going to say, oh, well, we're going to mess those poor Negroes because they suffer so much. That's the case? No. They're going to tear it. They're going to tear it. And especially us, if we're here. They know the prophecy. They know the history. They know the agreements that were made. They know what's going on. They don't tell you. They're going to wake you up. But they come here, they're especially going to make sure they take you out. We won't be here. But the Levites will be here. Transition. I mean, the Levites will be here. Nation of Islam under Elijah Muhammad's Nation of Islam. See? Because they allowed Farrakhan to deceive them. And they reject this message. Well, they're going to receive the message, but it'll be too late for them to profit from it. They will have to go through the tribulation period. See? That's what it says in Daniel. Read Daniel. Daniel came delivered who? Those who are in the book. Whose book? Angel tells you, the Lamb's book of life. He delivered those only. And then the rest were left behind. Who was left behind? Those who some for everlasting life and some for everlasting shame and appallment. What does that mean? Everlasting, that means they're going to be delivered. They're going to be saved. And how to have everlasting life. So they're going to be, right? They got to go through tribulation for that to happen. It tells you that in the angel. So who are they? So those that came through the great tribulation. Talk about them in Daniel also. Those who know their God. Now you know who their God is. Because Farrakhan has thoroughly confused them. And then the other ones, the everlasting shame and appallment, that's the demons. They're wiped out. But they weren't delivered. Only ones delivered was in the book. The ones that woke up too late, right? They had to go to tribulation. So they can't say it wasn't taught because I can't. I went to them. I try to bring, get them up on the angel. They rejected. So they have to go to tribulation. They're going to come around. They'll come around in a few days, but not fast enough for them to be delivered. So we have to go to tribulation. Because read Malachi, it's gold and silver. The Levites are the silver. The gold of the elect. Seed of Abraham. But the silver was grafted in. The priest tribe, Levites. It says Elijah was a Levite. Right? Read Exodus, they were Levites. See? But we both had to go in the furnace together to be purified. But silver takes more heat and has been furnace a little longer for it to be purified. See? So and somebody has to inspect it. And that's who does the inspection. That's what Suleiman does. He does the inspection to determine. That's why only those in his book of life, he does inspection to determine when it's ready, when it's pure, right? When he determines that it's pure, it's reached the level of impurity he wants, was in our case 100% pure. So he's the inspector. So once he declares it 100% pure, then someone comes and pulls it out of the oven. That's the deliverance. See? But silver, you got to leave it a little longer. It's clear, brothers and sisters. It's all mathematics. Okay, so let's get into the presentation. Now, what I want to do here, I've been talking, I said get closer and closer. I make it clearer and clearer and clearer. So I'm going to be talking about chapter 11. I'm going to try to make it clear. So study it closely. Now, timeline. But you angel warriors out there, keep studying. Because every time you study and you release one of those shock waves, it's changing reality. It tells you in there. It says, I don't bring peace, I bring division. It says, I. That means it's not just happening. That means it's happening because it's angel. Angel is the greatest atom bomb, ATTOM atom bomb that science has ever put together. For this time, because time unprecedented trouble, because it'll change reality. The universal reality, not just our reality, not just because our reality is the entire universe anyway. It's going to change the reality of the universe. It's going to change, like I said, all things new. We say that's what it means, all things new. Because now we're in a different phase of the universe, and it's going to be greater than the first phase. The first phase was contraction. It took 76 trillion years to contract. But what did we do to that 76 trillion years? Look out there. Everything you see out there, we put out there. Planets that you're going to inhabit. Beautiful planets. That's habitable. They're habitable. You don't have to go and do anything. They're habitable. See? Many of you are going to live on many of those planets. Many are going to rule many of those planets. See, we have hierarchy. You have the high priest, you have the God, the kings, the queens, the goddesses. We have all of that. It's not oppressive. It's just guiding. You know, your brain doesn't oppress the rest of your body. It keeps your body, everything working smoothly together. There's no oppression in the hereafter. Because everyone would do exactly what they want to do. The issue is, there's no issue. Because the thing is, everybody will do what they want to do, but everybody will do the right thing. It's like all your body parts do what it wants to do, but the heart does what it wants to do. Nobody's telling the heart to do anything other than what it wants to do. If you try to do hard, then you're going to have a heart attack. Heart does exactly what it wants to do as long as everybody's happy doing what it wants to do. Your lungs does exactly what it wants to do. You will do exactly what you want to do. Exactly. That's the only way you have paradise. You only have paradise being yourself, 100%. But you're a righteous person. You're going to do exactly what you want to do, but it's going to be the right thing that's going to be profitable for the whole nation. Look at the ants. All those ants do exactly what they want to do. You don't see anybody over there beating them. But they work together and they produce things. I hope you understand it. That's why the selection is so severe. To make sure you are part of the original body. Not a cancerous part. Remember the demons. You're a healthy part. That means you're going to do, what you want to do will be exactly what the nation needs you to do. So it'll be in sync. What you want to do is exactly what the nation needs you to do. So there'll be no conflict, none whatsoever. Just guides. The brain guides the body. So it's, there will be no oppression, none whatsoever. Because if there's oppression, it would be hereafter. It would be a paradise. That's the beauty of it. You'll do exactly what you want to do, and what you want to do exactly what conforms or fits right into what the nation wants to do. You're a cell in the body. And some of your heart cells, some of your eye cells, some of your ear cells, some of your nose cells, whatever. And you do exactly what you want to do. Period. No exceptions at all. None. See? No restraints, nothing stopping you do what you want to do. See? I mean, we never did that anyway. We let Dr. Yakub do exactly what he wanted to do. He did exactly what he wanted to do. We didn't stop him. There was no oppression. We're not oppressive people. See, that's a caving. That's what it will be. See? So, that's where we're going, brothers and sisters. We're going to leave all that offend, all the troublemakers, all that BS, they'll be left behind. See? We don't want them because they're not part of our body. See? They're not part of our body. Once the body comes together, right now we got all the demons, cancer cells, keeping us all confused and fighting with each other and arguing and carrying on. So that's my job to remove them. And it will happen. It is happening. Okay, brothers and sisters. So, again, we're going to go to a timeline. So make sure everybody's clear. Because the idea is that when that war starts, it's going to be very, very confusing. It's going to be very, very dark. See? So we don't want you to be in the dark. So you have confidence of the light, right? When you see that the light has been working. In other words, if you get a flashlight, and before it gets dark, keep testing, keep flickering and all that kind of stuff, then when it gets dark, you're not sure it's going to work or not. Because you tested and it's not working when it's light on. So you don't have confidence it's going to work when it gets dark. So you test it, and so you get one that works all right when the light's on, right? Then you figure, well, it pops going to work. You got confidence it's going to work when it's dark. And that's what we're going to do here. Because we're going to show you how the angel explains everything up to this point. Exactly. So when the time comes, and we're in it now actually, so you have total confidence in that light. Because your confidence, right, is going to save a lot of people. Because they're going to look into you. Look, put it this way. There's millions of us out there. 17 million. See? Like the brother said, Brother Kevin, he broke that down. See? There's 34 million, but only half of them are original. Other half is demons. 17 million of them. See? And they're going to be they're going to be knocking the door out. Because the NOI is going to be cleaned up. Farrakhan, his demons are going to be dispatched. And they're coming to NOI in droves, as the Quran tells you. They're coming in droves. In companies. We have to think the way the Quran says it. Been on translation. See? And they're going to be looking to you. If you're shaky, they're going to be shaky. So we're going to make sure you're not shaky. See? Because it's going to be very dark then, and it won't be no time for any flickering lights. Okay, brothers and sisters, let's move into the presentation. The angel countdown. Okay, we're starting off 1948. That's when it starts. It says they were prophesied for 42 years. Who they prophesied against? False Israel. False Israel was conceived in 1948. See? So this is chapter 11. And I shall give to the witness of me, and they will prophesy days 1,260, right? Which is 42 months, which translates to 42 years. There's a equation that goes with, but I'm not going to go into all of that right here. Anyway, 42 years. Talking about sackcloth. Sackcloth represents the witnesses or the Shia. So they'd be prophesied for 1948 to 1990 against false Israel. See? Okay. In 1991, or 1990 is when America begins their aggression against the Middle East. The actual war takes place in 1991. See? And it says they're looking out the people and tribes and tongues and nations for them days 3.5, right? So in other words, it says that this beast would make a war against them, right? And they're talking about that there will be, in other words, America, false Israel, and Britain will move to the Middle East. False Israel already there. And they will supersede their power. So they become the power brokers in the Middle East in 1991. See, there are many powers in the Middle East. See, that's what it's talking about. See, and we're going to talk about a little more detail here, but it's talking about, if you can see this in the background, right? See the Shia with those on top. Let's go back real quick and check like this. See, they were on top, right? Then they got pushed down, pushed back. But it says they will not let the fall to be put in a memorial. So it's a step by step. This thing gets step by step how they're moving, how the Shia is moving back through this, this order, hierarchy here, right? So it said they will not allow them to put in more. That means America represents, the Europeans represents the earth. See, so they were not allowed to be put in more in those, put under, buried. So they weren't allowed to be under the earth. That's what it's talking about. They weren't allowed to be buried. They were on display. That's what it's talking about right here. Because they was under there, they'd be under it. That means they're buried. They weren't allowed to be buried. That's what it's telling you to understand angel language. Another thing I need to say quickly, this language, that's our language. It's in Arabic, of course, but that's where we talk. We talk in this type of symbolism. That's natural way we talk. Because that's our brain is so powerful. See, they talk in very strict analytical terms because they have a very analytical mind and simple. That's why they can't touch this. This you think is complicated? This is just not natural way we talk. And we understand perfectly what we're talking about. Listen to your children out there. They ain't saying, Jack and Jill went up the hill. They ain't talking like that. I'm going to the store. They ain't talking like that. Hey, bro, can you feel me? No? See? They talking like this. It's just very simple right down. See? They call it idioms. Some people call it idioms. They talk like this. That's the way we normally talk. And they understand totally, perfectly what they're saying. See? See? I'm up like 7 Up. Yeah, you're explaining it to a KB. You understand what they're talking about? Yeah. So that's where we talk. And then just bring you back up to that level. See? Because we're so powerful. That's a spatial mind. Spatial mind talks in allegorical language. That's the way Jesus talked in the scripture. Remember, the only way he talked. He talked in parables. That's what it's telling you. That's where we talk. But you understand it now because they taught you to talk analytically. That's where they think and talk. See? Okay. So that's what it's talking about here. Okay. And that would happen from 1991. That would happen, right? It says it would happen for 3 days and a half. Now, Sister Fatima did a little, on her page, she actually broke this down. She took all this. She wrote and was very good at it. There was a couple of small mistakes there, but she was very good at it. I kind of like said, I didn't need to do this when she did that because she was just doing what I'm doing right now. But she was just putting, a script. I've been preparing this for a couple of days. I saw that a couple of days ago. I was none of this. I've been preparing this about all week actually, because I wanted you to really understand this. So she has something out there on her what do you call it, on her not on the page, but whatever that thing is, where you put your whatever. Anyway, and she got something on her page, right? Her status, or whatever you call it, change her status, I think they call it. I saw it this morning. It's very good, right? So if you don't understand, read that, because that pretty much follows this. Except there's one part I want to get to that she doesn't really deal with, because I never talked about it before, right? Okay, but just because I haven't talked about that doesn't mean you can't figure it out. Because this is your mind, bro. So I'm just giving you back what's belong to you, right? This is your mind. Remember, your mind has to be restored back to you, and that's what's just happening. Okay. So it said there'll be 3 days, 3.5. See, that's why you can understand, because they tell, they think that's 3.5 days. No, you understand the language. Days, 3.5. 3.5 of what? Half of the 42 years I was talking about. So half of that is 21, plus 3 is 24 years. So 24 years they'll be in that position you see right there. I'm going to make it a little clear further on. Anyway, just follow it, right? Then it says, that takes you up to 2015. Now, Obama was the president during 2015. He's the one riding the white horse, the first seal. See? And he talked about, it was given to the nations and the city, holy, they will trample on 42, month 42, right? Now, he's talking about months. This is literal months. I said there's a formula that goes with these times, but I'm not going to deal with that here, because I'm not going to deal with that right here, right? So 42 months, right? Okay, what's that? That's 3.5 years. So in other words, they'll be under the foot of the nation. Now they're under the bottom. Now they're under the bottom. See, before they weren't allowed to be under the bottom, under the earth. Now they've been trampled on by what? All the nations. That means you be trampled, means you're on the foot of them. So in the foot of all the nations, right? And all the nations are represented by the UN. So they'll be under the authority of the UN for 42 months, which is 3.5 years. And what happened in 2015? 2015 is that what they made this JCPOA agreement, right? Which caused the Shia, right, to be under, specifically Iran, under control of the UN, right? That was the whole idea. They was under control. So it was on the foot of the nations. And said that would last for 3.5 years, 42 months. So let's talk about here. See. Okay. Then it says it'd be broken. See? So, and that would happen in what? What happened in 2018, halfway through, starting from March, because March is the first of the year in the university, actually. It's Europeans that shift to January. That's because the emperors, right? Because January was Emperor Janus, then you have Augustus, right? And Julius, right? The July, August, whatever, right? And so Janus, he wanted to be the year starting on his birthday. So they started made the first year of January. January, the first of the year. Because he wanted to start the year on his birthday. They changed it. But university, the first day of September, March 21st, was always known as the first of the year. Because that's the beginning of spring. So in this case, that's what we talked about. We're using we're not going by their first of the year, we go by, right, angel first, universal first year, which is the March. So 6 months from there would be March, April, May, June, July, August, September, right? So after September. So it says that the agreement we broken, right? And that's what happened. Mr. Trump broke that agreement. He scrapped it. 2018, mid 2018, right? So it says once it was broken, right? Then they wasn't under the foot of the nation anymore. They started rising up, and it would take them 2 years for that to happen. See, because now they're wind, they're moving. See, the other ones was how long they was in a certain position. First, how long they was witnessing. Second, how long they was in the center there, right? The third one was how long they was on the foot of the nation. But this one, it tells they're moving, how long it takes them to move from one position to another. That's a difference. So now they're wind. They're talking about the wind, this wind blew, right? The blew on the fig tree, right? This happened in the sixth seal. I'm not going to those connections right here. I'm just get your phone. See, because everything has happened exactly like the angel says. So it says during this period of time to be spreading plague. The authorities said spread plagues on the earth, European countries, as often as they will. So that's when the COVID-19 came across 2020 during this period of time. And it says it's actually coming from them. They say Chinese, Japanese, whatever. I'll go with the angel because it says 1619 to 2019, 400 years of slavery. Then God said, I will come and judge that nation. I will send upon them a plague. 2020, I will send them a plague, right? That's Faraj talking to God, right? That will kill the firstborn, the elderly. Came right on time. And it's going to pass over you. It's passing over original people. They're trying to tell you, oh, you got Farrakhan wear the mask. He's a demon. But they're not telling you that's not affecting Black Africa. Why? That should be big news. When Ebola was hitting them, HIV was hitting them. Yeah, man. But now the fact that the only continent, Black Africa, that's not being affected by this, not doing any social distancing, wear masks, anything, is Black. So how are we with same genes, virtue same, right? Are dropping like flies are here, but it's not affecting them. That's a big lie. And now they're talking about they're going to force you to take the vaccine. In other words, you have to get a certificate. You don't come. Why do you want to force you to take the vaccine? Why are they so much in love with you now? See, when you got AIDS, they wouldn't love you then. They didn't do anything about AIDS, and it's still ravaging in the Black community. They didn't do anything about, or I heard about syphilis, and what's the other one that's causing a lot of damage? Herpes. Herpes is rampant. They don't even tell you that. Herpes is rampant in the Black community, especially up around the East Coast, Northeast. They call New Jersey Herpes City, Herpes Land. So they ain't worried about that. But all of a sudden, a virus that's not killing, it's killing elderly, but somehow it's picking us out too. And now they want to make you take it. Think about that. Anyway, after 3.5 days, so that's 3.5. This is a different 3.5 because the other one was this 3 days and a half. The other one was days 3.5. Not the same thing. It's 3 days and a half. Oh, so the reason why it's different because now before they was talking about years. Now they're talking about months. So that would be 24 months. Right? Half of 42 is 21 plus 3, 24 months. So in 2020, we had a plague. That's what it said would happen. See? And the Spirit of God came into them. Oh, no, let me back up here. See? So we'll talk about, we'll explain that a little later. See? So now they're pushing. This win. They're pushing. Before it was how long it was in position. Now it took that long to put in this position. Their position is they're pressing. So they're pressing against America. They're pushing against it. So now you see tension between America, false Israel, Britain, and Iran, and Syria is increasing. It's increasing dramatically. See what's going on in Syria. See, that's what it's talking about. We see this happening before our eyes. Okay. And then it says, they stood upon the feet of them. See, remember that was 2 parts. Let's look at this again. He said, and after 3 days, spirit life of God entered them, and they stood upon their feet. So it's 2 positions, 2 things happening here. It's not one thing. They stood upon their feet. It said the spirit of God entered them, and then they stood upon their feet. See? So they stand upon their feet. Now they're in top position now. See, that's the war. They kicked They was kicked out. Now they've kicked out the invaders. Kicked out Gog and Magog. That's what's talking about in chapter 12. Michael and his angels went to war against the dragon and his angels. Right? Who's the dragon? Dragon is House of Sod, and his angels, America, Britain, and false Israel. Say, well, how does that mean? They don't hear the. Well, how did they get empowered? How did they get empowered? They got empowered from the oil they got from Saudi Arabia. They only got that oil, that's cheap oil. That's how America and Britain and false Israel got so powerful. Well, false Israel got it from America. America got powerful because of that cheap oil. Because who got the most energy has the most power. You don't get that oil that cheap in Europe. No place else get oil as cheap as they get in America, and no place else. Only America gets oil that cheap and get in plain supply because they guaranteed the House of Saud their throne, their position over there, as long as they kept getting the cheap oil. That was a guarantee they gave them. We got the Balfour Agreement, I believe they call it. So that's what got them so rich and powerful. That's why I call the dragons angels, right? Because the dragons were that made them powerful. Because America came powerful, it lifted up this, right? Britain, and lifted up false Israel. That's another story I talk about in 666, so look at that video if you understand it. But it says, it would take 2 years for this process to happen. That wind is blowing. That's the wind that's talking about in the sixth seal, right? Because now they're moving. Other than they're stationary. Winds move. Okay? So they stood upon the feet of them. Great fear fell, and fear great fell upon those beholding them. Now we're going to talk about this in a little more detail in a few seconds. Timeline. Now we're going to go in a little more. Just what we talked about. We're going to reiterate, right? Just what we talked about. But we're going to talk about it from a different point of view, different perspective. Okay. Okay, here we talk about it again in the middle, right? At the beginning. That's where they were witness for 42 years, and I should give 2 witnesses. I mean, they show prophesied days. So they're in the top position now. Now you can see it. Before you couldn't see it so clearly. They're in top position. So they remained in that position from 1948 to 1990 while they was witnessing, right? Top position. These represents European countries. They're top European countries. So the point is, each one of these, this represents the eagle, right? And the top 2 wings of each one is the Islamic part. So this is the Islamic part of the European countries, the Shia, right? They're white. So we don't get hung up on skin tone. That's another deception. See, we love white people. Aren't the Turks white? They're our brothers. They're Muslim. Aren't the Iranians white? A lot of Shia white. But they're original on their parental side. We've got a lot of black people that's our enemies because they're demons on their parental side. So get off. The lesson doesn't say who is the devil. Doesn't say the white man. It qualifies to say Caucasian. Get off the skin tone stuff. That's no deception. See, so that's how the demons can ease in on you. Say, we black. Yeah. Yeah, right. Whatever. And so is a snake. Okay, let's move on. Then, this is where they get pushed out. See? They're not allowed to put in more. We talked about that. So, now they're in the middle. Because they're not allowed to be on the bottom. Because they won't be allowed to be buried. Okay? So this takes place in between, the other one took place up to 1990. So this position they would be in for from 1990 to 2015. 24 years. For 1991. 24 years in this position. Okay? Then, this is JCPOA, right? Obama negotiated with them, and they've been down the bottom, down the foot of the nations now. See? And so they've been in that position for 42 months, 3.5 years. They're the foot of the nations now. See? Under the authority of the UN. That's what that agreement put them on the authority of the UN. To monitor them, to make sure they be faithful to that agreement. That's what it's talking about. Just go check it. If those of you have not studied, go and check. That's the timeline, and those are the dates. Then the agreement was broken. See here? It said the Spirit of the God came in the 3 days and said the Spirit of life of the God. What God? It's talking about Satan. Satan's a God also. Right? False Israel. See? So that's where they're point. That's when the plagues get spread. But now, see, they're moving now. See, it took 2 years to get in that position. So now you see tension between America and since that agreement has been broken, the tension between America and Britain and false Israel and Iran has been increasing dramatically. See, because they're pushing now. See, they're pushing back. That's what it's talking about. Then the war. Now you're at war. That's what's getting ready to happen. And stood upon the feet of them. Now they stepped back on their feet. Right? That's the war. It's about to happen. See, now they're at war with America, Britain, and false Israel. They're at war with them. See? They stood upon the feet of them, and great fear fell upon beholding them. Now they're at war. That's what's about to happen. Right? And it's going to happen. We're going to show that in a minute. We're going to get into more detail, a little more detail in a minute. But it's about to happen. Any day now. This year. That's what that means. Now they stood upon their feet. See? Now, see, they're at war, now they stood upon their feet. See? Because that's the shaking you talk about. Now they fell upon their feet. See? They're back in position. They cast out America, false Israel, and Britain. They're kicked out. False Israel still there. They take it. They seize it and take it. That's the end, which caused all kind of political insanity in America. Because that's the story. That the whole world is right now has been revolving around this year since Elijah Muhammad came, and after Farad told Elijah Muhammad was teaching for 47 years that we're true seed of Abraham. That shook the whole world. The political structure, the whole world was based on the fact that false Israel is really Israel. That's why established in 48 and all that trouble. The whole world has been revolving around that situation because they had to have a different narrative. So this whole reality we're on right now is based on the idea that we were him, we was born to be slaves or whatever, and that they're the true seed of Abraham. And that's why they returned. They was allowed to return, and now they got the Middle East and all that kind of stuff. You understand it, but the reality of the world, especially in America and European countries, right, and the whole eschatology about with Christianity and everything, right, that they're the true seed of Abraham, and so now they got to fight and help. All this confusion and struggle and fighting and all this stuff is all centered around false Israel because they have to prove that they're the real ones. So when that lie is exposed, that's going to rock the entire planet. That we're true seed of Abraham, because they've been trying to block that, trying to snuff it out. See? Because that Elijah Muhammad came and gave them a taste of that reality. They didn't want it, so they snuffed it out. As soon as it's gone, they snuffed it out. So Friday tape, because they were going to try to do it. They weren't going to. They was impatient. They weren't going to do it. They were waiting. That's why it tells you in the Son of Perdition, so they was waiting, right, trying to do it, and then trying to snatch them out. Okay? Because if you understand correctly, right, Wallace and Farrakhan was both plotting. See, because they was plotting. It tells you that they was plotting to take over. He was part of it. That's why because I'm not going into all details about that, bro. It says that is not what this was supposed to be about. But I'm just going to say a couple of things here. Right? Read the Son of Perdition. The falling away, the Nation of Islam once was beheaded, as Elijah Muhammad was taken out of the way. See? And then the Son of Perdition, Farrakhan, was revealed. He tried to put it off there, oh, well, it's the Jews and all that kind of stuff. But he says, well, because he revealed them, that falling away. No, it tells you, be not deceived, the fall away will come first. Then the Son of Perdition be. See, they make it clear. Do not be deceived by that bull. Right? But the thing is, I was there, so you have to understand what's going on. Wallace was officially out. He was barred. He was banned from the Nation of Islam. So how did he take over? Because he got the Farrakhan. See, they already got Malcolm out the way because they knew they could not pull this on Malcolm. Whatever Malcolm's flaws was, whatever, right? I'm not justifying what he did, but he was not going to be stepped on by them. He was not going to be walked over by them. He was a national spokesman. He was not. That was not going to happen to him. So they had to get a coward like Farrakhan. So that's the agreement they made. See, that once they got rid of Elijah, right, Wallace would take over and Farrakhan would be his main minister. And that's exactly what they did. Because Farrakhan was the main man. He was the spokesman. So how in the hell they give the Wallace, who was out of the temple? He was officially out of his band. I was there. That's a fact. Officially banned. They knew. Farrakhan even missed. They knew what Wallace was going to do. They knew he was going to tear it. They knew he was going to do it. Farrakhan even missed that stuff. Got the tape. They knew that what he was going to do. Wallace didn't keep no secret. He was going to get rid of all of it. He didn't want none of it. He got rid of a thing called Bilalians. They knew what he was going to do. So why did Farrakhan go along with that? Because he was part of the plot to get rid of Elijah Muhammad. That was the deal. If Wallace was good, he'd be Wallace's main minister. They were going to split up the spoils. That was the deal. He was part of it. Only problem was, see, because they knew he was a coward and a stupid fool, and you going to let him negotiate for you? He ain't built the damn thing in 40 years because he's stupid. He just takes for himself. See? But think about it. See? He said he was broke because they didn't give him anything. Do you understand what standing means? Standing means when you go into court, you have to have a reason to be there. It has to affect you somehow. That's standing. So he had standing because he was national spokesman of the Nation of Islam. So that means in Elijah's absence, he spoke for the Nation of Islam. He had stand. So when they go into court, he had stand. So he could have went to court and said, no, because everything was in the Nation of Islam's name. It wasn't Elijah Muhammad's name. It was in the name of the believers. So he can go to court and say, no, all this problem, everything stays in, because Wallace went to court and said, no, that was their father's stuff. They wanted it all for themselves. Now, Farrakhan could have went up there and said, no, he stay. But he didn't. That was the deal. You don't say nothing. They let the family go. So the family went in here. They told the judge there was nobody contesting it. So it all went to them. They took all the money. What happened to all that stuff? They liquidated everything. They got rid of the bank, the businesses, everything. That was in the nation's name. Muhammad wasn't his name. It was in the nation's name. That's what pissed them off so much. Because they had to go to court to get it. All that real estate, everything. They liquidated it, right? And so it took all the money. Thing is, they didn't get Farrakhan a damn dime. That was the whole deal. That's why he was broke. So they threw him to the curb like a two-bit whore. But that's what he is, a coward. He didn't stand up, do anything. He even said it so. Elijah Muhammad told him to his face he's going to be a hypocrite. So then he runs back to Master to get back on stage, shake his ass. Imagine that. And they call me a liar. Because he is a liar. Nobody call him a liar. Well, I'm calling him a liar. You can't. Nobody call Farrakhan a liar. Nobody call him a liar. Well, then you can't tell a lie no more because I'm calling him a liar. So you can't say that. Because if you say it again, it means you're a liar, right? Because you said nobody's calling him a liar. Well, I'm calling him a liar. That's what happened. And remember the story of Aaron. It says Aaron was the spokesman. That's why he was selected. He was a spokesman of, Wallace was never the spokesman of Elijah Muhammad. So you can't try to say Aaron represents Wallace. Well, that's the only attribute, even in the Quran, that's associated with Aaron, is he was a spokesman. Moses' spokesman, Elijah's spokesman. The only one was his spokesman was Farrakhan. So he's lying Aaron. Okay, so hope you understand that. See, that's how Wallace got control, because they made a deal. See, That's what happened. Okay. So let's move on. So here we are. They've kicked him out. See? False rules are taken. They take siege to take it. So now that false rule now, and now that false Israel is gone. That's caused chaos in America. See? And like I was saying, let me finish what I was saying initially about that's why they had to send Farrakhan and Walsner to snuff out the Nation of Islam Bills of Muhammad because it threatened them. If he was changing reality, they saw he was starting to change reality, right? The new reality coming in. Black folks was drawn to it, original people. So they had to snuff it out. So they sent Wallace and Farrakhan to do it. Farrakhan, Wallace supposed to stump it down. Farrakhan made sure it never rise up again. See, when Farrakhan goes, ask yourself a question. When Farrakhan goes, he's going, but he ain't going where he thinks. When he goes, what will become a Nation of Islam? He haven't announced it, but a successor. He called them all student ministers. That means they don't know a damn thing. So they can't come and say, well, they're going to have to say, well, he made me, appointed me. Because if he died there tomorrow, Ishmael will say, well, he appointed me to be the one. See? He's a student minister. I mean, you're a student. And nobody's going to follow that Ishmael out of the burning building. The man is totally idiot. I never seen anybody as dumb as stood up on that talk as him. He's dumb. He couldn't, when the mess was around, a minister, him? He might be Elijah Muhammad's blood, but ooh, that boy is stupid. So he's going to run it? Nobody's going to follow him out of the burning building. Nobody's going to follow, he could sign to follow Wesley because he's way out in that 10th dimension. He's in metaphysics. That's why I look confused all the time. See how confused he looks all the time? That boy looks confused. He looks like he's totally confused. That's everybody looks so confused. His eyes look, he's way look at you like all cross-eyed and everything. The boy is totally confused. He educated, but his education confused the boy. He should know better. He should know that if Farrakhan's files is the devil, that means he's a demon. I mean, he's not, you know, he should know better. Ain't no way in the world he could possibly be our Messiah. He should know better. See, he talk all the science and everything. He should know better. You see, but you know, so him, what was the other brother name? Nuri. He's a clown. He's a clown. He's just a performer. He said, "Now, sick thing or whatever." He not on knowledge. And you ask him about who's the God, then they go into some kind of 10th dimensional metaphysics thing about, yeah, well, you got to talk about the spirit. Ra is the God. Period. That's the answer. They were on Breakfast Club, both of them. Wesley and Stratton, well, you know, well, the brother on the press club was smart enough. He says, do you really believe God is a man? Well, so I put their slide rule and their computer and dictionary. Well, you know, in the damn it, for Ra is the God. Period. Anyway, you know, all the sisters going with Sister Ava. You know, that's going to go down. So anyway, they snuff it out. So when false Israel goes down, remember the whole idea was there's two seed Abraham. So when they were put back, they cannot be, cannot be uprooted. That's the whole scripture. That's what the scripture says. But now uprooted, gone. So that means they're not. That means that we have to be. That's going to shake the whole planet. See, because now God's on the scene. He just kicked their ass because it says Michael and his angels. Didn't say angels by himself. See, Mike, that means Ra has showed his hand. So you know God's coming after him. And he's coming to rescue his elect. See, not his elect, but Suleiman's elect, because his elect is in the way, but it's up to Suleiman to decide who goes and who don't. Who's pulled out the furnace at what time. And they need to stop us. Because once we're back in the power, it says, when we take back our great power, that's what it says in the angel, we're going to rock the universe. Because we don't just rule the planet, we rule the universe. You have no idea your power, brothers, but you're going to find in a minute. That's why we have to make sure you have a thorough knowledge yourself. We can't have blind elephants running around. You let blind elephants run around and see, you know what's going to happen? It's going to tear up everything. They're going to tear up themselves and everything else. We don't want to be like Samson, blind and powerful. Got made with blind, but it's powerful. The way they do is brought everything down, killed itself in the process. See, that's why I have to make sure that you have a thorough knowledge of yourself. Because when your power comes back, you realize your power. Ooh, I'm not talking sisters and brothers. You think these sisters ain't powerful? Was that song? Love and Hate, Thin Line? They found themselves in the hospital because they thought she was stupid. Okay. See, they're different. Equal but different. 3 plus 7 is equal to 2 plus 8 is equal to 1 plus 9. Different but equal. They come at you a little more subtle ways. See, because you got all the physical power, right? So they got to be a little more conniving, come at you another way, right? See, because you do sleep, don't you? You do eat, don't you? You better wake up, brothers and sisters. You better leave them sisters alone. Because they got a right to be pissed off. They got a right to be angry. Now, we got some demon sisters out there. I know, but I've dealt with them. But you got some right sisters out there too that's angry. And they're going to want, when this war happens, they're going to be turned loose on something. We don't know, we don't want these sisters out there doing that kind of stuff, right? When with them falcons, we got to protect them. But some, they angry. And they angry at us too. They have a right to be, because we didn't protect them for 40 years. So you better give them some slack, give them some play. But your sisters don't take advantage of that, right? Because we went through it. But you agreed to go through it with us. So don't be angry with us either. But they do have a right to be upset about some things. And we're not going to take that right from them. And we're going to make sure we set them right back on the throne where they belong. See? Put them right back where they belong, right? And it's our job. We're going to do that. And we owe it to them. See? So we ain't going back to get back. So, I'm the one got the ball. You got to let brother, if that's what you think, you're not even going to get anywhere near the hereafter. Only hereafter you're going to get through hereafter hell, right? And which is more hell for you. Brothers and sisters. We're brothers and sisters. Right? We're not masters over slaves. Let's move on. Okay. Now, we talked about up to, right, 2020, midway. That took a long for them to move up. Then it talks about that hour. Where's that hour? That hour corresponds to what happens after that. That's the hour corresponds to 1 year. That'll be from 2020 halfway to 21 halfway. Starting from March. In that hour. So it's talking about the same hour we're talking about chapter 18, where it says, 1 hour come the plagues of her. And then she be burned with fire. The fire, right? It says morning. That means she fell, right? It says plagues, right? She burned with fire, right? That's the 4 winds. Because if you read the 4 winds, right? The first one, that's the first 4 trumpets. First one is fire. See, and then the invasion, the flood. I'm not sure I'm going to talk about too much about that, but can you understand chapter 11, this timeline? That hour, that's the hour that happens right after. That's the fulfillment. All those different positions, and then the hour. That's the hour where the war takes place. And I said, it says they stood upon their feet in that hour. That's what happens when the war takes place. And you'll see in a minute. But you have to be very careful. And that hour occurs shaking great. That's the war. That's the war takes place when Michael's angels go to war with the dragon's angels. That's the war. See, that's it right here. Right? They're getting ready to go to war. That's where they are right now. They're getting ready to go to war. They're putting pressure, right? They're moving up on America, Britain, as far as Israel. That's what you get right now. Because they're saying Iran's putting all this pressure. They're not backing down, right? They're moving forward. Because they're saying we're not returning to, see, they're trying to get returned to JCPOA. They said, no, we're not returning unless you release the sanctions. Well, they said, we're not releasing sanctions to return. Well, you got impasse. And as far as they said, Iran said, we're not backing down. You got to release those sanctions. And they said, no, we're not going to do it unless you, see, because they ain't stupid. They the ones that invented chess, Persia. That's what Iran is, old Persia. See? So they ain't stupid. Because for them to return back to the Israel people before they release sanctions, that means they have to give all they've accomplished in the last 2 years. All the rain production, everything else, they have to get up. And then they go back, and then America says, well, you got to stop doing this, you got to do all this stuff. So now they reverse everything, and then they're still under sanctions. That's the game. And they say, hey, we ain't playing that game. Because now it takes 2 more years to get back to where we were. Now we're weaker now. See? Because now we're close to being able to defend ourselves. And you trying to stop us, trying to get by our weapons. Okay, put your weapons down. See, put your weapons down first. And then we'll decide, we're going to stop beating you up. So you give me your weapons. And then we'll decide we're going to stop beating you up. Okay, I'll give my weapon. Now it's still beating you up. See, but now you have nothing to defend yourself with. Who's going to buy that stupid? That's the argument that Biden is making against them. You got to go back, give your weapons, give your weapon production, everything else. See, and then we'll stop beating you up. No, you stop beating us up now first. So you stop the sanctions first. See, so an impasse. That means going to war because the angel says they're going to war. They're trying to go back. That means they have to go back under the foot of the nation again. So I said, watch this. Watch that. Because if they go back under the foot of the nation, that means the angel's off limits. At least I got it all wrong. And this whole timetable's all wrong. They go back under the JCPOA. Because you don't see it. See, they're moving up. According to the angel, they're moving up. That means they're going to war next. They're not going backwards. So pay attention closely to that. So that's where the shaking occurs. That's what I mean, an hour. That's the hour they're talking about. When the war starts, which is getting ready to happen. This position right now, right, and the greatest shaking occurred. That's talking about 6th seal, right, where it says the wind blew, right, and caused the fig tree represents the fig tree represents false Israel. The figs represents America and Britain because they had a plan, right, but the wind blew before because the figs were blown off while they're unripe. So they had a plan, but this happened before they could execute their plan. What was that plan? That plan was to get rid of us, which they're in the process of trying to do right now. See, you don't understand it, but that's what's going on. But before they complete their plan, the wind blew. That was going to happen now. It can happen any day. It can happen while I'm talking. But it will happen this year, right? Because remember, this period of time is a period of time, because that is a 1-year period this happened. And the period starts at the end of the last one. Remember, each step. And when's the last one? The last one was when the Spirit of God covered it, right? That was in 2020, halfway through, between October and November, during that period of time. That's when it started. So it means it would end. All this was complete. We're talking about this hour. All this could be completed by November this year, between October and November this year of 2021. Here's the war. And the hour occurred, shaking great, the war. Same war, shaking they talk about. See, that's why you got to get away with King James Version, they call it earthquake. They say, well, it must be earthquake talking about. No, it's talking about war. Got to get a transliteral version, get rid of that King James stuff. Okay. That's the war. They're at war now. See, that's where they're at war. They're conflict. They're covering America, Britain, as far as Israel. Then that's when they kicked them out. In this hour, all this will happen this year. The year started in November, last November, around October, November, last year. It'd be a 1-year period. See, because you see right now, after it happened, all this pressure between America and Britain, as far as Israel and Britain, to begin to happen. It's been increasing. And now they're not threatening the sanctions anymore. They actually put more sanctions on Iran, but they're threatening military action. They never did that before. Never threatened military action against Iran before. Now they threatened sanctions before, but now they threaten military action. And Israel says, false Israel says, we're going to do it no matter what, whether they go to JCPOA or not. They said they're going to go attack them. They're sending B-52s over there. That's their biggest planes they got, nuclear capable. Why are they sending those over to Israel, false Israel? And why has they got submarines, nuclear capable submarines in the Gulf of Hormuz? See? And False Israel's got one there too. And then they got another battleships out there with hundreds of cruise missiles. Because one of the problems False Israel have is they can't attack Iran directly because they're so far away, and they could detect them before they get there. Plus, they can't refuel and get back. See, plus they have to knock out all their nuclear facilities at one time. They have to roam around. They don't have the capability to do that. See, because they have to, and Iran's a very big country, much bigger than them, right? So, and they got stuff hidden all over the place. They don't even know where it all is. So they attack, right? They want to be able to just bombard it, just wipe out just about everything. See, so it's a very big deal. But the war is going to happen. And then it said, 10th of the city fell. Remember, this is within 1 year, man. This is talking about in that hour. This part of what hour. So 10th city fell. Those of you been studying Injil know what this means. That means because you got 12, right? So when you got 12, you count down, right? You count up from the bottom, right? You had Britain and Russia. Then you had America and Britain. That's right. That would be 12. Then 11. The 10th one would be where America was before the war. There'd be a 10th spot. That fell. That's what it's talking about. America, False Israel, and Britain fell. See? Understand it again. See, at that point in time, let's back up. Let's back up. You see, I made sure a little better. See right here, when you had the Injil, they're in the 12th position right here. Right here, they're in the 12th position at the bottom. They're in the 11th position. They're in the 10th position. But the war, before the war starts, America and Britain, they're in the 10th position. Let's see if we can show that. Let's go back a little further. Okay, well, anyway, maybe I'll go back a little further. See, in this situation here, they're in the 12th position on the bottom. It's 12 levels. They're in 11th, they're in 10th position here. But when the war happens, right, they kicked out. So that means they fell. The 10th position, the 10th of the city. So we're talking about 10th of the city. So those who study Injil knows what I mean. He knows what that means. That's what it means. The 10th of the city fell. In that hour, that 1 year period. Shaking great, and 10th of the city fell. There it is. See, America's thrown down. It's chapter 18. Britain thrown into the sea. False Israel's taken out. They no longer exist anymore. That's what I mean. 10th of the city fell. See. And were killed, right? Names, and that was killed. So when you count up, I don't show that here because I'm not going into detail here, but when you count up, once it happened, the demons are here, you count from the bottom, right? That's 7 layers. That's what we're talking about. Name is 7,000. So all those, right, are killed. That's separation. So the ark is on top of that. I'm not showing all that here, right? But demons, they're cast down, right? And they were all killed. That's when the winds. That's what it's happening in chapter 18. It says they're burned with fire because the winds represents the four winds, and they represent the first 4 trumpets. The first trumpet fell to earth right down here, and it was fire. See, that's what it says. America's under this one. Under this one, it went on the bottom right here, right? False Israel here, America's there, right? See. That's what it's talking about. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. See. That's happened this year. In that hour, read this out. All these things happen within an hour. think that's, yeah, see? The wind, under the wind is false Israel. See, and under false Israel is America. See, they're cast down. That's because when you read, it says Babylon fell and Babylon, the great city, fell. It says two things. So that's America and false Israel. They fell. And the other was thrown into the sea. It's up top there. See, then demons, they're cast out. And during this time, you got the demon plague going. The last 5 months. See, so once this war happens, do the math. Once this war happens, right, you're going to have a demon plague that's going to, locust plague, which also the demons, the last 5 months, going to tear this country apart because they're attacking us. Once what happened, they attack us, attack all the blacks because false Israel was taken out. Now they know who we are, so they're going to attack us. The demons are going to go crazy because they realize they was betrayed. That mass is after them too. They're going to tear this country apart. The Nation of Islam is not going to do that. See, they're going to get rid of Farrakhan and all these demons. They're gone, right? See, but they're going to have Suleiman there. He's going to come back. And suddenly he'll come to his temple. The messenger of the covenant. They say there's only one messenger. Well, the Malachites too. The messenger of the covenant will come and clean up and save their ass. See, and we're under attack. That's when you're going to call out the four winds of Farad. See, then there'll be a resurrection. All this happened this year. To get to this position here, there'll be a resurrection. All black folks coming together. And then the demons are separated out and thrown back. That's where this right, we see right here, demons thrown back into the fire. See? The elect is delivered back to those Lamb's Book of Life. They're delivered back to their homeland in Arabia after, because Farrakhan, Farad has already took out the authorities. So now it's under his control. But the Arabs are still there. Upon our land, they took from us, they forced us out. Because we didn't inherit this, we're the true seed of Abraham. They're seed of Abraham too. But we didn't inherit this because we inherit this. We from Sarah, his lawful wife. We're from Isaac. They're from Ishmael. But they're the oldest, so they figured as the oldest, they should inherit. So they ran us out. That's what's true about Joseph. See, Joseph revealed to them that he was going to inherit everything. He said, hell with that. So his brothers betrayed him and threw him into Egypt, threw us into slavery. The Sunnis gave us up. They're supposed to protect us. They gave us up to our enemies. That's how we ended up in slavery. They gave us up. Because we was Muslims too. We got raised with Prophet Muhammad also. How did all those Muslims, how did all black folks become Muslim on the west coast of Africa, northwest coast of Africa? How did they become Muslim? They didn't get it from Prophet Muhammad. Okay, brothers and sisters, hope you understand. I didn't want to go into all the details like that. I just wanted to bring the timelines. It's all about timelines. I'll go all the details. I talked with some details to fill you in, but it's all about the timeline here. And there, see, it's said, and the leftover, who's left over? After 7,000, this is what's left on the top here. This is right. It's not showing the Arabs and the waters that the ark is flowing. This is the ark here. See, and this is the leftover. They glory to the God, the elect, right? And the Shia, they took position where the demons were. Demons were cast out, and they took the position. This the African, the Levites, the African Muslims, right? This European Muslims, right? Here's the seed of Abraham, right? The top that we went through 400 years for the covenant. Suleiman, Farad the God. Suleiman's high priest, Farad's the God. And Elijah. Elijah will rule all of what we call Africa right now. He will rule all of that. Farad will rule the whole thing. He's the God. He's in the center, right? His throne will be in Jerusalem. All the area, that was Syria and all that, Iran, right? And in Arabia, right, will be the throne of Suleiman, the high priest, Mecca. But Farad will rule it all. That's what it's talking about. See? This year, this happens. This year. We're not going to the flood and all that kind of stuff. We're going to this was happening. It says that in that hour. See, where it says, someone heard a voice say, come up here. All this happens in that hour. This is what we can expect to all happen before the end of this year. So that means once it start happening, it's going to be very, very, it's going to be something else. It says it's going to be something. It said the year of the Lord will happen. It'll be just like you've never seen, something you've never seen before. It says you can't imagine it. It said it'll be unprecedented time, unprecedented trouble. It says no day, it's no day like it. In 1 year, that 1 year period says nothing like it. So once it starts, and it's about to start any day now. Right? Then we got a 5 year, they got 5 months, the locust plague, which is also demons tearing his country apart. That's the 5 months that Suleiman will be taken and getting preparing the NOI for the tribulation period they have to go through. Right? And then we're delivered. We're taken out before the invasion comes. But they ain't just coming for the devils. They're coming for demons. They come for all of us, especially for us. They want us going too. All the nations want us going. Ishmael wants us going. That's why a dragon. All of them want us going. All of them. Because they know what's going on. They know you don't know. They don't know who you are. That's why you have a thorough knowledge of self. They made an agreement 50,000 years ago. Now they're reneging on it. Okay, bro, says that's it. Hope you understand. Hope you understand. That's it. That timeline I took in more detail. I always took you up to the point, right? When war starts, and I'm telling you, right? The timeline once the war starts. And that's that year period. So I went to some detail here. Hope you understand. Because I never really talked about the hour before. But the hour takes place. That's the hour, right? The war starts. Because that's what it said. A great shaking occurred. That means that's when the war starts. That hour is talked about what happens when the war starts. See? Okay, brothers and sisters. Hope you understand. Assalamu alaikum.